For TRICHOMES.com, I'm Jesse Batend, and this is The High Ground. On this show, we feature leaders of the cannabis industry. We talk to everyone from farmers to CEOs and public officials, anyone making an impact on the cannabis community and beyond. The cannabis industry generates an awful lot of waste for a product that just grows out of the ground. Packaging, cultivating, processing, not to mention specialty safety lock packaging that often comes from overseas. Well, my guest today is trying to be some part of that solution. Erica Halverson is the CEO and founder of Tiny E Paper Company, which is hoping to convince the entire cannabis industry to ditch paper products in exchange for hemp. While Erica's company is still in the prototyping phase with most of their products, she's designing a hemp-based replacement for every single paper product that a dispensary or cannabis company might need, including some things that you might not think about at first, like business cards and even hemp-based toilet paper. This is all part of what she describes as a mission to save the world with hemp. We'll get into what exactly she means and how she's planning to do it. Erica, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with what might be kind of a big question here. I think we all hear a lot about the benefits of hemp. What did you see about it that made you go, okay, this is something that I want to get in. I want to be competitive. I want to start a business. What are the benefits over traditional paper products?
Well, first off, I guess what got me into it was a personal passion for cannabis, just holistically. And so my passion for cannabis as a medicine and what it does to my life personally kind of morphed into that because I noticed there was a real big problem happening within the industry. Hemp is not right now seen holistically as a plant. And we focus a lot on the flower because it does have some great CBD is fantastic, but the hemp plant is an entire plant. So what I was noticing is that why are we not utilizing this plant as much as we are? And I didn't fully understand all of the ways that hemp was better than trees. When I first started this, I just thought it was kind of a cool idea. But the more and more research I did, the more my jaw dropped to the ground of why are we not utilizing this more? Just easy things like you can recycle hemp paper 7 to 8 times versus only 3 to 4 times for tree paper. There's little things like it takes you 25 to 50 years to grow trees in order to cultivate them. We can cultivate hemp stalks within 4 to 6 months. So the yield that you can get from this plant is amazing. You can plant hemp stalks next to a nuclear waste field, and it will remediate that earth. It will take out all of those pesticides, all of those nasty, harmful chemicals, and make that soil livable again. That is amazing. Trees can't do that. So that's where my initial wonder of this plant came from, is just some of those basic facts of what hemp can do that no other plant that I'm aware of can do. And hemp is also the strongest natural organic fiber on earth. That's pretty amazing.
So you're doing all of this research and finding these benefits, but did you find anything about why people weren't utilizing it more?
Yeah. So there's really a couple reasons. Number one, making especially 100% hemp paper is very hard to do. Because this plant is so strong, you really have to break it up, beat it down. You've got to manipulate it so that you can work with it. And so in order to do that on a high scale, you've got to have the right machines to be able to do that. So it's in itself, scientifically, it is not a very easy process to do. But there are also some political reasons. And there's really 3 main reasons why we have not been utilizing hemp paper or hemp for paper. And their names are Rockefeller, DuPont, and Hearst. And for political reasons, that is why hemp was coupled as a Schedule I drug with cannabis. That is why hemp paper was basically bastardized, is because it was going to take over all of those different industries, whether it's plastic, paper, textiles. Those all were going to go to the wayside if hemp were to be as successful as it can be. None of those barriers exist right now. That's why now I'm able to do this. And take those steps, because I'm not going to have any of those three guys or any lobbyists or anybody that claims for political reasons they're going to try to shoot me down. None of those people have any pull with me right now. So there's not a lot of ways for this train to get stopped now that we've had things, especially like the Farm Bill pass. So there's been a long history with hemp, both on a political side and on a scientific side, where it's not the easiest plant in the world to work with.
So the hurdles, therefore, for a long time were really around growing, cultivating, and then the difficulty of working with the product. So needing to invest in like a new supply line, new machines.
Well, here's where the difficulty was. For me to make paper, I had to find a paper mill that was in the same state as where I got the raw material, because I couldn't ship that raw material anywhere.
Interesting.
That was pre-Farm Bill. Post-Farm Bill, we're now out. That is no longer true. I can ship anywhere in the world.
Part of what you guys do is you actually create paper products out of the scrap and extra materials that CBD manufacturers are making. Tell me about how that kind of came to be.
Yeah, so I make my paper out of both the stalks, and then I use the both pre and post extraction waste from the CBD extractors. And how that came about is just in my research of hemp paper and getting to that 100% level, I noticed, just segmenting the cannabis industry out, the CBD industry is the fastest growing segment of the fastest growing industry in the world. And when you look at not only their output, the products that they are creating out of the flower, but you got to look at the waste output as well. When I started doing research on these extractors, their number one problem was generating tons and tons of waste a day. And they did not know what to do with it. Some of them were burning it for fuel. Some of the companies, depending on what state you're in, they were actually having to pay for another company to come in, take that off of their land, and then recycle it into some other form. Like you have to mix it in with kitty litter and things like that so it doesn't look, smell, or act like the extraction waste that it is. That's a really big cost for some of these guys. So when I started looking at my process, I started thinking about how many different ways can I utilize the entire plant of the hemp plant, both while it's in its lifespan and then outside of its lifespan. And if I could figure out a way to do something with all that waste, I have a feeling those extractors would even give it to me for free, because aren't I doing them a favor? So I started contacting extractors. First, I got together with my product developer, who is a hemp paper wizard. His name is Blair Lewis, and he owns a company called Cannabis, and they were the first company to do 100% hemp wrap papers, rolling papers, blunt wraps. So he is my product developer. Between him and I, we determined that, yeah, we actually can use this biomass for stuff. And so he started using it in his hemp paper for his rolling papers. So that was that concept test. All I had to do was take that and put it into a commercial scale into my regular paper. And so that's how that thought process started. And sure enough, these extractors, because I'm doing them a favor, as long as I come and pick it up, they're willing to give me as much of this stuff as I want for free. So it does a couple things for me. It takes a cog off of my P&L, because the more free raw material that I can get on my back end, the more that I can make my pricing make better sense so that people can afford my paper. But it also, I keep using this word and it might be overplayed, but it gives a synergistic partnership with everybody that I work with. Because not only am I doing them a favor of taking this waste off their land, I'm going to make some really great paper out of it, and then I'm going to sell it back to them at a really good bargain and get them to switch over to hemp paper. And there's where that synergistic value comes in.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I think the word synergy is overused, but that's mostly because people wish that they were synergistic, and this is actually an example of it.
Yeah. But then I'm also going to take the waste side a little bit further. And I am collecting all of the waste, not only from the extractors, but I'm collecting all the waste from my farmers. All the waste I can use that has a fibrous content to it, I'm going to use that for my paper making. Any of the waste that I can't use, sticks, stems, leaves, all that kind of stuff, I'm actually going to start working with eco-recycling companies, creating living soil, and then reconstituting that back to my farmers. That gives them better quality raw material, higher yield on their crops, gives me better raw material so I can make better paper. And that's where I'm creating not just a self-sustaining business model with taking hemp stalks, making paper, selling it back to those hemp farmers, but I'm creating a self-sustaining ecosystem. And when I go out and say that I'm really trying to change the world with hemp, that's kind of where that falls into line, because I'm able, with my process and the way that I'm utilizing waste, I'm able to touch almost every single aspect of the cannabis industry. And that's huge.
So the idea here is to create paper products for dispensaries and other businesses within the cannabis industry. What kinds of products are you currently making? What are people buying?
So what I've been doing in this time is I am in the process of vetting out all of my new manufacturers. And the manufacturers I'm talking about, the manufacturer that produces my 100% hemp toilet paper is not the same end manufacturer that's going to produce the corrugated boxes. That is not the same manufacturer that's going to produce the bags that I make, any of the bags. So I have to vet out all of those different end-use manufacturers. That's what I'm doing right now. So I have been taking the paper I've had and trying to expand people's mind about what is possible with hemp paper. And if you've been following my LinkedIn feed, that is what all those concept tests have been doing, is proving that hemp paper can be folded this way. It can be perforated the same. It can be glued the same. It can hold the same weight. I can turn it into any shape, whether it's a square, a rectangle, a circle. It can carry things that have possible wetness and condensation in them, like a can of soda or a bottle of wine or a beer. So these are all concepts I've been proving. Why I've been doing all these concept tests and why I don't have any of those products available for sale right now is I have to build a forecast for all of those products in order to know how much raw material to get, how much pulp to produce, how much of each stock weight I need of each of those end paper products, and what to turn them into. Because I am making a nascent product in a nascent category group, I don't have any data. I don't have any historical information to pull off of in order to understand what my demand is, what a forecast should be, what a run rate might look like. I have nothing. So what I have to do is I have to artificially create some of that information and some of that data.
When it comes to the timeline of rolling out some of these products and beginning to kind of work with these companies on a commercial scale, what does that look like?
It's actually, I'm going to have to make some choices about 4 to 5 products that I'm going to launch with first, but I'm going to make those have the biggest impact possible. The first thing is going to be corrugated boxes. And when you think about all of the different things that you can make from a corrugated box, there's a reason I'm making a corrugated box first, because you can pretty much do any packaging from that. So that's going to be the first thing. And then, unfortunately, I'm going to try to get 100% pure toilet paper done. The problem I'm running into right now is I have to find a toilet paper manufacturer because they have the machine that I need that cuts out a toilet paper roll, that perforates each sheet and then packages it. They're a little busy right now. So I don't get to, I have to put a couple products on the back burner just because of timing and where we are in reality with this virus thing. And right now, a toilet paper manufacturer does not want to talk to me because they do not have the time. I have a list of about 4 products that I will be coming out with first because they're products, like I mentioned, that box that can also be made into several other things and have a lot of viability. Same with the grocery store bags. Once I get a bag manufacturer, I'll be able to make bags in any shape and size for any purpose. So that'll be another one that I'll come out with.
So I have to ask you, have you had a chance to try hemp toilet paper, or is that something that you're still in the concept development phase on?
No, I actually have enough of it where I could use it right now if I wanted to. I don't want to use my sample. I have very little of it. They were handmade. So I don't want to use it right now, although I could. And I still need to, and this is where I need a toilet paper manufacturer to help me. It still needs to be refined a little bit more, softened a little bit more. It's not in its final stage, but I'll get there with a toilet paper manufacturer. It's really, really close though.
Erica Halverson is the CEO and founder of Tiny E Paper Company. You can find more cannabis industry reporting at TRICHOMES.com, as well as more great shows like this one. If you're a member of the cannabis community and you have a story you want to share with us, reach out. You can reach the show at highground@trichomes.com. Please take a second to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. It really helps others find the show. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at trichomes.com and following us on all social media. The High Ground is produced by David Fortin. I'm Jesse Patend. Thank you for listening.